Good evening, everyone. I'll call the committee of the whole meeting of the board to order at this time, and we'll inform you that we did have a 6:30 executive session for the purpose of discussing a legal matter. And Mrs. Leisure, would you please do the roll for me?
Mrs. Albert. Present. Mr. Hauser.
Here.
Mrs. Kozar.
Here.
Dr. Laughlin. Here. Mrs. Main.
Here.
Mr. Mueller.
Here.
Mr. Music.
Here.
Mr. Palmer.
Here.
And Dr. George.
Present.
Thank you, Mrs. Leisure. Solicitors report, Mr. Hale.
No report, Madam President.
Thank you. Legislative report, Dr. Laughlin.
The House approved the pre-employment drug testing, so new employees would have to go for drug testing before starting work. And the U.S. Education Department told the PA Department of Education that they did not have the authority to change how the charter schools were doing, relaying their PSSA scores. And under the old rules, instead of 49% making AYP, only 21% would. So it's keeping it more in line with the public schools and how we have to report it. So it's still in contention, but the U.S. said PA did not have the right to change that to make it easier for the charter schools to look at it. All for that section.
Thank you, Dr. Laughlin. Would you like to continue with student activities and recreation?
The Winter Sports Recognition Night is Wednesday, April 2nd, and that will be in the auditorium. And tonight we would like to recognize our state champion wrestlers, Luke Fletcher and Zach Steletsky.
Good evening. As Zach and Luke come up here, of course, Luke's making a habit of coming here. This is twice in 11 months, I think, that he's been here. As you know, my closeness to wrestling, I've enjoyed this season immensely, as the community has with what the wrestling teams have achieved. But wrestling has the individual side to it at the end, and the ultimate goal in the sport of wrestling, of course, is to be a state champion. And standing here today, after this weekend, they've achieved that ultimate goal through a lot of dedication and hard work, is Zach Savatsky, a senior, who will go on now to wrestle for Virginia Tech in the ACC. And he won his first state title, but his third state medal. And Luke Fletcher, who we don't know about college yet because he's only a sophomore, but he won his second state title. And as we were watching two Pennsylvania wrestlers win their 4-time state titles this weekend, you don't want to jinx anything, so I'm not going to say anything except that Luke's won 2 and he's only a sophomore, so we can all put the pieces together what we're hoping for, but I'm not going to say it and be the one that goes down in history as jinxing anything. So at this time, I'm going to introduce Luke and Zach and let them say a few words, and I know Mrs. Swigert has some certificates, and congratulate them on being state champions.
Hello. I would just like to say I'm thankful for the recognition I'm getting from everybody, and also the opportunity to wrestle in big tournaments during the year, like Kingdom Mountain and Powerade, to wrestle elite wrestlers across the country, and to just be ready for the state tournament. And I'm just excited about my future and thankful for everybody. Thanks.
I'd just like to say thanks for all the support we had throughout the course of the year, whether it was just having the spotlight on us at the home matches or letting us go to the big tournaments like Zach said. Thanks.
And on behalf of the school board, we have to congratulate both of you. Just wonderful representatives of Greater Latrobe School District. So thank you very much and congratulations. Thank you. There was quite a montage of photographs in the Latrobe Bulletin regarding the matches. We're going to have another one here. So if you want to come out a little bit, Mr. Mears should be in this picture.
Is it a wide lens?
Yeah, well, there you go. I wasn't planning on being in it. Yeah, that would be good. So we're going to take a picture, if that's okay. Thank you very much. Go ahead. We're going to go over here.
I promised them they could leave early, so they're probably going to go. But I did want to say one other thing while we're here before I forget. We do have our fingers crossed because tomorrow our swimmers are up in Bucknell right now, and we have some dynamite swimmers with state potential championship hopes. So hopefully in April, we're here with the swimmers. We've got our fingers crossed.
And that concludes my report.
Okay, we'll continue then with the agenda. Congratulations to the wrestlers. That was great news, and so proud. Latrobe, so proud. Education and planning, we'll begin with the student report with Adam and Kate.
Hello.
Hi, Adam.
This Friday, March 14th, Derry High School will be hosting what's called Swishes for Wishes, which is a joint Latrobe and Derry Interact Club charity event. For the game, basketball players and cheerleaders will be switching roles to try to help raise money for Blood Brothers organization, which helps support orphans infected with HIV in the Indiana area. The goal for the night is to raise $5,000, and there is no admission fee, but donations are always welcome.
Thanks to our sponsors, our third annual Pullapalooza was a huge success. Together, the businesses and organizations listed on your agendas contributed items and monetary donations, which allowed participants to win over $3,200 worth of prizes this year. A big thank you goes out to all of the student volunteers, especially Student Council, Key Club, and Publications, who gave up their time to plan and execute a fantastic event. Many teachers and staff also contributed their time to make this night happen. This year, 234 high school students formed 39 teams to compete in activities such as volleyball, badminton, basketball, indoor soccer, video games such as Just Dance 2, Mario Kart, and other games such as ping pong, cornhole, and karaoke. Plinko and a prize wheel also allow participants to accumulate more points for their teams and win prizes throughout the night. Congratulations to Team Raisin Juice, that was their team name, for winning the top overall spot for Pullapalooza 2014. And as a reward, they won 6 Pirates tickets. This looks great night. Thank you. Are there any questions?
I saw on here you have Little Shop of Horrors performed, and I had the pleasure of attending that. I
It
thought
was
the kids
great.
did a wonderful job, and it's a very enjoyable evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
As usual, there is an attached enrollment report from Mr. Parenka. Do you have any comment, Mr. Parenka? Just normal, same old, same old.
It's day 120.
Day 120 on
6 weeks. It took us a while to get there. You can blame Mark for that. Okay, wait.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Parenka. And of course, if you read that, I'm sure I'll answer any questions next week for you. We have a presentation from Mr. Fraley from the junior high. And I think we're going to have some fun with these little things.
Don't touch them, whatever you do.
Okay.
It's fine to touch it. Exactly.
When I sit here, they just yell.
It's just like, oh.
Good evening, afternoon.
We need to move.
No, yes, actually, yes.
Do I should do my thing with me?
Can we take our place?
Yes, you should take your clicker with
Because they are
you.
active expression.
You are part of
Not
this.
touching anything, I'm not-
Okay, good evening. Thank you very much for having us here tonight. About a month ago, Mr. Maines and I learned we'd be presenting here this evening, and we took a little walk around the junior high for the purpose of having a discussion of what we were going to present. So as we were walking around the junior high, we saw a lot of engaging activities, a lot of positive things that were happening in the building. It was very difficult for us to narrow down one particular item. In addition, we discussed the fact that there were many small changes that we were looking at for the junior high for next year that we thought we would want to make you aware of some of the smaller issues as well that we were looking at changing. So tonight, we're going to have a little bit of a variety of highlights and changes that will be occurring at the junior high over the 2014-2015 school year. We're going to start with the area of technology. A major initiative at the junior high over this summer was the installation of the Promethean boards. And we're aware that these interactive whiteboards, Promethean boards, creates an engaging atmosphere for the students, that they were brought to us at the junior high through the Greater Latrobe Partners in Education, which provided well over $200,000 for the installation of these boards, and we're very grateful for their commitment to our school district. The one added bonus with the Promethean boards that we did not expect to get, that the Greater Latrobe Partners in Education also provided for us, were the active expressions, better known, more commonly known as the clicker, okay, as everyone refers to. And that's what's sitting in front of you. And what we're going to do today, rather than just talk about them, we weren't able to bring you a Promethean board today, because they're all mounted on the wall. Mr. Millcycle would have a fit if we were to rip one off and bring it here. So we decided what we were going to do is show you about how the active expressions were used in the classroom. And with us, as we walk around the room, we observe Mr. Matthew Major and Ms. Jessica Scapora. These are our 7th grade world cultures teachers. They do an outstanding job creating this atmosphere of an engaging classroom through the use of the active expressions. And they're going to take a few moments to demonstrate how they use those in the classroom today. Mr. Major, Ms. Scapora.
Thank you, Mr. Cradle, for the kind words. I'm Mr. Major, Matthew Major. This is Jessica Scapora, Ms. Scapora. We teach 7th grade, as Mr. Cradle said. And tonight we're going, well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for allowing us to share with you how we integrate this technology into our classroom. This is a really cool opportunity for us that we don't regularly get. So what I'd like to do first is explain to you what these clickers are. What the active expression devices are computer-based student response systems. And what that means is they are a tool that we can provide the students to give us feedback quickly. We can interject these questions, we can interject this assessment in the form of questions into presentations. We can do it in the form of review, in the form of, pretty much the sky's the limit for these. So what they are, as you can see, are these little BlackBerry-looking devices. And you all have these up here. They really provide an excellent tool for student engagement. We've noticed a huge spike. Anytime we say, go ahead and get your clickers, the kids just go crazy. They love them. They are a great tool for us to provide formative assessment, not just for the students, but also for us. And the data collection is instant, where before, if we gave out a pencil and paper exit ticket or whatever, it takes a while to grade that. Now, they have the information just as fast as we do, and we can use it instantaneously. It also allows for teacher planning. This widens our spectrum of what we can do in the classroom. An example of this would be just last week, we did a simulation using a poll, which Ms. Scapora is going to show you, on the European Union. So the students were able to recreate using classroom countries and just really break down what is going on in Europe right now. And it made it more real for them, and we've been relying on that simulation for the last couple of days. How this works, there are a number of questions you can do. An express poll, you can do true, false, multiple choice, different types of questions. There's also a timeline arrangement, so it helps for our discipline as well. And a text response, which allows you to literally type in a sentence or give a numeric response. So it works for math, English, pretty much every subject. So on your desk, if you would grab your smart clicker, or not your smart clickers, your Promethean clickers, and when you turn it around, there's a little button in the bottom right-hand corner. It's the bottom corner button. If you push it, you'll see it says Active Expressions 2, and it'll light up. And Ms. Kapoor is going to show you how we use an active poll.
Okay, so the first thing that we want to ask you to participate in is our express poll. This is typical for us to use as a bell ringer or a class opener that immediately engages the students as they come into the classroom. So hopefully with that being said, you are engaged with the question on the screen and thinking about your travels to the United Kingdom if you have ever been there. On your screen then, you should see the options yes or no, and we'd actually like you to respond to that once we get that pulled up here. So you can either select yes or no, and then choose the option for send. If anyone needs help, I'd be happy to point you in the right direction. You can see on the board that we can actually see who is submitting the responses by lighting them up in yellow.
There's a button underneath select.
And so this is what happens in the classroom too, where the students are saying, hey, use number 9, get with it. Okay, well, we can actually, if this would happen, we can actually stop the poll here, and what is going to happen, a bar graph will pop up on the screen. Just say no, yep. And instantly we can see the data that's been collected. The class is going to see this as well as the teacher. This is a great opportunity for the teacher to be able to gauge whether the class has understood the concept as a whole, as opposed to myself asking a question and only being able to call on a few students who have raised their hand. So this definitely ensures that all of the students are actively participating and that they're engaged in the lesson.
Okay, what we're going to have you do next is we're going to show you how we use this as an assessment, whether it's a practice quiz or a real quiz. So what I would like for you to do, please keep your clickers on. And you all have a passport in front of you, the little blue passport. These are actual student projects. You can come through this as well. What we're going to do, we will send you a 2-question quiz. Don't worry, it's open no. So you can use the passports, it's fine. And the question will appear on your screen. There's going to be 2. Once you select your answer and send it, it will advance you to the next question. One of the benefits of this type of assessment is that the questions appear on the screen. And so this ensures a little bit of privacy and integrity of your quizzes. And also it allows students to advance through the test just like they could. They can go back and correct other questions or change their answers at will before they send it. And so, John, would you start the quiz? Thanks. And could you move that down? It times it so when you can show this a couple of different ways. How we like to use it, we have students who are assigned a certain number of clicker. So we can use this data once everybody is done taking the test and actually count it for a grade or any type of assessment. And then we're also able to use these the feedback and see which ones they might have missed the most or the least. So it provides instant feedback to us as to what we might have missed or what we need to review. And this will be increasingly helpful once we get to the benchmark test in PSSA prep. So once you hit send, it should give you an indication as to whether it was correct or incorrect. And if you notice question 2, and for those of you who don't have a clicker, question 2 asks them to round the population of the Republic of Ireland to the nearest 1,000. So that means that, you know, we can do all kinds of cross-curricular instruction as well. And again, this is a great tool for quizzes and practice tests. So when you get to the second question where it says round the population of Ireland to the nearest 1,000, that's actually a numeric one, so you can use your passports if you need to. And then you can hit send. We find that a lot. It's tough. It is tough. John, you can. Hit number. Okay, and again, John, would you just do one thing where it says response timeline? In the center, would you click that down? Hit incorrect answers. The nice thing about this again is you can see questions that were missed. You can also see the time that it took students to take on a quiz. So if a student blows through this quiz in 15 seconds, you know they might not have known, they might not have studied for it. So it is a really great tool.
The last activity, the last option that we want to show you will be our text response. And so this is a great opportunity for us to use as an exit ticket. You can see on the screen here that we have put the question on the screen, but when John hits play, you're actually going to see it on your screen as well. However, we are not requiring you to answer this question tonight. We just wanted you to be able to see that this is an option for students to answer open-ended questions. Oftentimes they can be in the form of application questions, higher order thinking questions where we're asking them to compare and contrast, to explain, to describe. And of course, we're able to see this data as well. Now, not only are we able to assess them on our world cultures content, but we can also assess the students on writing skills. This gives them practice to improve their writing skills in the areas of sentence structure, spelling, vocabulary. We can provide them with feedback on that as well. And in addition, it's practice using the writing skills in this form of media that more than likely is going to be similar to the forms of media that they will be writing on in their future careers once they leave Latrobe, as opposed to the typical paper and pencil. So this is another great option that we use as well in our classroom. And that kind of wraps up our portion of the presentation, so thank you for your attention. You can turn off the clickers and just leave the passports and the clickers at your seats, and we'll collect those later.
Thank you, Mr. Major, Mr. Fora. Keep in mind, I just want to add, not only did we receive the Promethean boards and the active expressions, but also along with that, all of our teachers have received 15 hours of professional development. They are experts at using them. I know we are foreign to using them, they're different, but also keep in mind that it's not foreign to our students. They feel right at home with a device in their hand, obviously. And it's something that just creates it's a tool for teachers to use that we think is very effective in creating that engaging classroom. Okay, next we would like to present a little bit about what is going on with Chromebooks. Currently, we have 7 teachers piloting Chromebooks at the junior high. And today, we have with us Ms. Holly Wilkerson, German teacher at the junior high, is going to show us a little bit about how she utilizes her Chromebook set within her classroom. Ms. Wilkerson? Thank you.
Guten Abend. My name is Frau Wilkerson, and I'll be talking to you a little bit tonight about the Chromebooks. I'm one of 6 teachers piloting the program, and to give you a little background information, I am married to a software engineer, so technology is kind of a big deal in our household. So I was very excited to jump on this project. I've been using Chrome for a while, and so when the district started to transition that way, I was like, wow, yes, I know how to do this. And so when I heard about the Chromebook pilot program, I was very excited. My students, I teach them 2 to 3 years. So I have 2 levels of students. I have students who've never used them, and I have students that I've been using Chrome with for probably the oldest group 2 years now. So we'll start, there's so much I could hit on, but I'm just gonna hit on the 5 best things that we've come up with. And each one of these little slides is going to go through that. Obviously, you all have Chromebooks, so you are somewhat familiar with this technology. We'll go to the first slide, and they are extremely fast and reliable. So long as we have internet, the world is ours. It's easy maintenance, long battery life, very user-friendly. The kids are really big. They're just so quick to figure it out. They're excited. It boots up in less than 30 seconds, and that's a big deal for 7th graders. There's a huge gain of instructional time, and Mrs. Lisa Bompiani-Smith sent me this screenshot as I collaborated with my colleagues. She was able to do this multimedia project that is in line with Common Core, and it would not have been possible with the Chromebooks because easy access kids were able to jump on them real fast and complete. Every single kid is able to make this book that she has going on right now, which is incredible, and we aren't losing as much time charging the items and storing them. Storage is pretty easy. It's just absolutely incredible how fast, again, they are. There's an app for that. It's very cliche, but what's really cool is when the kids log into their Chrome at home, they have access to all the bookmarks we did in class and all the apps we use in class. And the one app that I would like to hit on is Duolingo. And Duolingo is actually a Pittsburgh-based company. It's free, and it's an awesome kid-friendly version of Rosetta Stone. It has 27 levels, and kids can work at their own pace. Robin was kind enough to hear my request for this awesome headsets, so the kids look like they're at drive-thrus. But they love it, and they are able to speak, write, listen. They will go on it at home, which is incredible. They have it on their phones. They are using German outside the classroom, which is a pretty big deal. It's awesome, too, because I don't have to bring them all the way up to the high school, which sometimes with 7th graders takes a while. We have our own little language lab down in the junior high. So that's a big deal. And there are so many apps out there. You just have to go looking for them. Sharing is huge on Chrome. And you don't necessarily need a Chromebook for that. But students have access to everything they do in school now, which is, they love that. And they love it so much that they're sharing documents with me and each other, and it's kind of like, sometimes it's like passing notes, but it's a really cool way for them to collaborate. I am able to create an individual folder for each one of my students, and it's shared between me and them. When they have homework, a project, an essay, they drop it into their German folder. No emails are sent, so my email isn't clogged up, so share. It's all there. I have a folder that's shared just with the class. So all classes have their own folder they can share to. And then I have my chapters with all my handouts and notes, and I can share that publicly with parents through a link and control when to share it and when not to share it. So it's absolutely incredible the options the students have. They've really embraced it. They like organizing their folders, so that's really cool to see. And the biggest thing is collaborative thinking. It's not just between teachers anymore. I see 12-year-olds do it. And that's a big deal, and it's huge. The best example I have of this is I forgot to print a test review. And I do it a week in advance, so one day I wasn't going to hurt them. But I said, how about we try this on the Chromebook? And the kids went crazy. And this is my 7th graders. And so I shared the review, and they were able to create comment threads and highlight things they were still confused about, still had questions about. And then their peers answered it. And then I could jump in and answer it, and I could make the corrections, or a peer could offer feedback. Oh, I learned better it this way. Why don't you take a look at it that way? And so this collaboration between the students, I think, is one of the biggest things. And I know my husband uses this every day at IBM, and it's a life skill that's going to help them later on and move forward with this technology. Lastly, I'll leave you. This is what my students came up with. I relied on them for their feedback. I gave them a survey. There's forms you can fill out. You can use it as assessment. You created a Wordle. They enjoyed this. The one gentleman pictured down below, he organized the Chrome part because some of the cords got kind of crazy. We numbered them, so it's really fast and efficient for us to get our Chromebooks in and out. That's probably the thing that takes the most time. But that is all I have for you this evening. If there are any questions about it.
It's got my grandmother can use it.
Yes, that was there. It's so easy. My Oma can use it.
My Oma can use
My
it.
Oma can use it. Dankeschön.
Okay, so that wraps up our technology component here, which we wanted to highlight. I would be remiss in not thanking Mrs. Pines for her help with the Chromebooks, with professional development. It's really increased, again, student engagement within the junior high, so thank you. Our final teacher presentation, we're going to talk a little bit about curriculum. We want to talk about some of the changes we're going to be having within our science department. And with us this evening is Mrs. Preka and Mr. A.J. Habercorn, and we'll be talking, teacher leaders will be discussing some of those changes that we will have here this evening.
Good evening. It's always nice to be preceded by two former students of the if I could direct your attention to the screen, this is our current science cycle that we have in the elementary and junior high school. Science is up for curriculum review this year, so we found that the current cycle is a little bit disjointed. It's not really meeting our future needs, the direction that we would like to go as far as the department and to the junior and senior high school programs. So now's our opportunity to do that. And our answer to that is to spiral the curriculum. It really wants to, we look for it to promote some flow and consistency between the elementary to junior high school transition and then the just overall program in general. So we believe the spiraling will produce a much more well-rounded student. If you could see, our proposed spiral basically takes a third life science, 1/3 earth and space, and a third physical science, pushing that into 5, 6, 7, and 8th grade. Now, for us, that will better prepare students for the 8th grade PSSA and also prepare students for the transition, which we'd like to see in 2 years, to everybody taking biology in 9th grade.
I'm just going to speak for a minute about the second piece of this, which is the 9th grade piece. Currently, our 8th graders going into 9th grade have a choice of taking either physical science in 9th grade, which does not have a lab, or academic biology, which is a lab science. Beginning in 2015, though, all of our 9th grade students will take a biology course. I totally lost my train of thought there. All of our students are going to take a biology course, so that's going to be a big change for us. One of the benefits to that will be that leaving 9th grade, all of our students will have had a lab science, which they don't have right now, which I think is a pretty exciting opportunity for them. Another key part of that will be that all of our 9th grade students are going to take the biology keystone exam then in May. This means that by taking that keystone exam in May, if students do not test proficient or advanced on the exam, then as a 10th grader, they'll have the opportunity for remediation, they'll have the opportunity to test again if they need to, and that will also open up more opportunities for them in 11th and 12th grade to take science electives if that's the way that they want to go.
So again, we're really excited about this. We also wanted to add in some additional extracurricular science options that we have as far as clubs go. We do have faculty volunteers at the junior high school. Right now we're involved with 3 things. Actually tomorrow morning, anybody would like to join us, 6:15 at the junior high school. We'll be leaving for the Science Olympiad competition, the regional competition at CalU. Also, we've started an environmental club. That's where we've taken an existing Trout in the Classroom program and put that together as an after-school activity. In addition to some other environmental, we brought some speakers in, highway cleanup, things like that. We've had students also participate in the regional science and engineering fair. It's more of a individual program that takes place at Heinz Field. And we're hoping to reestablish the partnership with the Western Pennsylvania Conservancy We have one of our faculty members at the junior high that's applied to the Stavisky grant this year, hoping to get some funds to reestablish that program. To remind you that the partnership with the Western Pennsylvania Conservancy was that partnership provided us with the work and reclamation at 9 Mile Run next to Liberty Park. So, any questions? Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, and just a few other small changes that I mentioned that I thought that perhaps would be relevant to share with you this evening. We're going to be in 7th grade. We're going to be looking to add additional periods in math and English, and it's going to be a focus on enrichment. In the past, we've had success, wonderful success in the PSSA, but we have to look beyond proficiency at the junior high. We have to look at extending those students, pushing them beyond proficient, okay, pushing them to a higher level, and that's what we want to use this time for. And you know, we learned a lot by looking at what's going on in the elementary buildings. We've taken some time, we've sent our teacher leaders down to the elementary buildings, and we've learned it through observing. They spend additional time, not just 43 minutes in English and math, but additional time in these key areas. We're introducing math concepts, algebra to students here at the junior high. A lot of students taking algebra for their first year, pre-algebra. That's the foundation of their success. We believe it requires that additional time spent in this 90 extra periods will assist us. We've learned from the senior high how effective an A-B schedule can be run. So what we're going to be doing is a student, for example, who has a first period math class on day A, period 2, they'll remain in that math class. The very next day on Tuesday, they will have their English class, let's say period 3. That lab will be spent on their English class. So every other day, they'll have an additional math or English in 7th grade only. We talked about the spiral curriculum. The teacher leader spoke of that tonight in science. We also have some changes. We're moving health to 8th grade, and math lab for all students at the junior high is available. We're going to try to have that available for every period for next year. 8th grade, again, the AB schedule. We are moving the ICT course, the Information Communication Technology, which teaches students how Google Chrome. We want to push that down lower because students, we could even push it lower, we could. We would like to, but we believe that having it in the 8th grade would be appropriate, especially as we are looking at more and more, we're looking at students' use of Chromebooks and the benefits of that. Health to 8th grade, we're moving health out of 7th into 8th. The Intro to Manufacturing course, which was in 9th grade, we're moving it down to 8th grade. Again, that spiral curriculum that we spoke about earlier. And also speech will be added as an elective for students in 8th grade. Finally, we voted on new course offerings at the last meeting that we had last month. The 3 new courses that we will have for 9th grade students: the Intro to Broadcast, the Engineering and Design, and the Intro to Business. We're also looking at the 9th grade for a BYOD, mirroring the senior high laptop program. Okay, very similar to the senior high laptop program where students could actually purchase a laptop. That's something we're working with Mrs. Pinus with and seeing if we can incorporate that for our grade 9 students. We're talking about Read 180. That is a remediation for the 9th grade students. We do not offer that currently to 9th grade students, and we think that there are students that would benefit greatly by having that additional remediation. Also, just a name change. We are adding academic to our English 9. We will have English 9 and academic English 9 for our students. And that keeps us consistent with the senior high in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade as they name their Englishes the same. And our last change for 9th grade students is we are opening select courses to students 9 through 12. So students in 9th grade, some courses, some elective areas, such as in the arts, will be able to cross between the senior and junior high for next year. You know, we're looking at a lot of curricular changes, but it's not just curricular. We're very excited about what's going to be happening with our physical appearance as well. And some of the slides that we're just showing here, this is just a simulation of what we're going to be looking at. It's going to be an exciting summer to junior high, a very busy summer. At times, I'm sure it's going to be hectic, but with everyone's patience, I think it's going to pay off greatly for the junior high as we move forward. Thank you very much for your time this evening. Appreciate it. Any questions? Yes.
Where are you going to get the time for the 90?
The 90 extra periods?
Yeah.
Yes, that's on it. Basically what we're doing is it's a semester on the AP, okay? Yes, the 90 extra periods. We're moving the health out to 8th grade, which helps create a little bit of space. Okay, so that was significant in order to do that. So that was probably how we were able to make that work in the schedule, to get those 90 extra periods. Thank you.
Mr. Keller, do you want these?
You know what, you can leave those, the packet expressions can leave right there. We'll get them at the end of the meeting. Thank you. No.
Thank you to all the junior high presenters. We thought that was wonderful. Okay, on your agenda for next week will be the approval of the 2014-2015 school calendar, and it is attached there. If you have any questions, I'm sure you can call our meeting and we can find out and get some answers to your questions. Also on the agenda for next week will be the permission to apply to the Pennsylvania Department of Education for the for 2 80 days at the junior high school only, Monday, June 9th and Tuesday, June 10th. We also on your agenda will be the acceptance of a JHS tuition student for the balance of the 2013-2014 school year. Listed there, and that will be on your agenda for approval. The minutes of the curriculum committee meeting are attached. I ask that you read those, and if you have any discussion or comments on those, we can do that next week. We will be talking about some of the things that are on that in the near future, so if you could take a look at those and be aware of what is happening with the curriculum committee. The next curriculum committee meeting is Tuesday, May the 20th at 5:30 p.m. here in the Center for Student Creativity. And that ends my report, and I'll turn it over to Mrs. Elder for finance.
Thank you. We will have on the agenda next week the treasurer's report, payment of bills and budgetary transfers, and you can look at those with the attachments. There will be a finance committee meeting on the 2nd of April at 10 in the Central Admin Building, and your finance committee meeting minutes from this month are attached. And we also have the accepting the state audit and the balance fund transfer, and accepting gifts which include $4,500 directed to autistic support classrooms from McFeely Rogers Foundation. And the next item, I'm going to turn over to Mr. Watson and let him explain, and Mr. Almer and Mr. Lynch will be with us next week.
Thank you, Mrs. Elder. We have our 2004 bond issuance has a callable date of April 1st. I contacted Janie Montgomery and Scott to look at a possibility of refinancing, and it seems like it's a definite possibility. The current rate on that bond is 4.49%. When I checked it earlier this week, we could refinance at about 1.19%. Which would result in savings of between $40,000 and $50,000 we anticipate. Basically, what it will do is reduce our interest payments. So, Mr. Lynch and Mr. Almer are in the process of reviewing the documents. They'll do a bid. I believe it's on this Friday, and then they'll come back and report the results to the board next Tuesday. And if it's favorable, ask for your approval to do the refinancing. So, good news.
Do we know what their charge is for doing this?
I can get that breakdown for you. Yes, that's included. That's included in the report that we'll provide you.
And from the Union Township Tax Collector, there's the ongoing disposition of property, municipal records, retention. That will be part of our agenda next week as well. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Elder. Property and Supply, Mrs. Kozar.
Yes, we'll begin with a project update from Hank and Kurt. It's also an attachment.
Good evening. As always, I have my monthly report as an attachment, as Heidi mentioned. We've had a good week of weather, so we've had a good week of exterior construction. The last couple of months, I've been stressing that everything's weather dependent. Metal roofing's weather dependent. The upper field's weather dependent. Site concrete's weather dependent. But meanwhile, in that time, we roughly about 99% complete with the interiors of the field house and the press box. So the interior work is nearly complete. We're basically doing punch list items, accent logo painting, touch-up painting, and that sort. The upper field, turf field, and the rubber infill, which was left over, we talked a couple months ago. We had the perimeter to do. We had the batting cages and the bullpen area to be completed. They showed up yesterday, and I understand they were wrapping up tonight. Mark just got a phone call, turn the lights on, and do some touch-up work, so I wasn't sure if it's for construction related or if they wanted to play and try it out before the district did, but they were wrapping that up today. The metal roof has been ongoing. The field house is nearly complete, I would say roughly 80%, which is a big deal because without getting that equipment out of there, we're able to do the site concrete that's kind of behind the baseball field in front of the field house. So that's the next big exterior construction activity that we need to get done to get the district into these buildings and on the fields for competition use. Other than that, as far as construction, billings roughly about 95% for all contractors, nothing out of the norm there. And again, we're down to your GC wrapping up some items at the interior of the buildings and some site concrete for the site contractor. So we're almost to the finish line. We're almost complete. It's been a horrible winter with weather. I do see we're supposed to get 2 or 3 inches tomorrow, so a little bit of bad news there. But hopefully we'll get another week like we did. We can get a lot accomplished when we have good weather. So I'm hopeful we'll get things wrapped up for you very soon. I know we did junior high school bids last week, so I'm going to speak on the junior high project.
As you know, we opened bids for the junior high piece. They came in within budget, and we would be recommending that the board act and award bids for a total amount of $1,139,200 for the 3 prime contracts, including general construction, flooring construction, and electrical construction.
So I have as far as that complex. Is there any questions?
Okay, another attachment to your agenda is the bid opening for weight room equipment. And then this evening, I would like to move on the adoption of resolution number 158 to award the bids for the junior high school. And they're listed there.
Second. Thank you. It has been moved and seconded. We adopt resolution number 158. Typically, we do not have a hearing of visitors at the committee of the whole meeting, but since we are voting this evening on this one motion so that this can get moving, I will open the floor to any comments about the awarding of bids for the junior high project. So if you wish to comment on resolution number 158, please come to the podium and state your name and address. And I'll open it to the board. Does anyone have any questions or comments about the junior high awarding of bids? Seeing none, I'll ask Mrs. Laser to do a roll call, please.
Mrs. Elder? Yes. Mr. Hauser?
Yes.
Mrs. Kozar?
Yes.
Dr. Laughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Moeller?
Yes.
Mr. Music?
Abstain.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Dr. Zorch?
Yes.
Mrs. Mays?
Yes. And that passes 8-0, 1 abstention.
Okay, and moving on, our property and supply committee meeting minutes are as an attachment, and our next meeting for property and supply will be at 3:30 on April 3rd in Central Admin. And we will also have an agenda item for permission to advertise for new security cameras at both the junior and senior high. And that concludes my report, Mrs. Haynes.
Thank you, Mrs. Coates. Community Relations, Dr. Zort.
Thank you. There's a attachment for the Latrobe Community Parks and Recreation Commission meeting minutes. Everybody interested that will not be Latrobe Community Parks in 2015, so we've got one more year. Latrobe Community, so I thought that was interesting. Part 2 of my report is Mrs. Soltis, Dr. Soltis is going to comment about the reality tours. I was approached by the paramedics in Latrobe to be a part of the reality tours. I know the meeting is next week. I think it's on the 19th, 6 o'clock at the municipal building in Latrobe. And I'll let you.
We have Marianne Music, who's going to be the director, right, of the reality tours, and she has some things she wants to hand out to the members of the board. But I was listening to the news this evening, and the Attorney General reported that heroin overdose is now at an epidemic proportion. Our community, we're very fortunate. Do you want me to pass it? Sure. Our community has been approached and is planning to do their own reality tour. For those of you who aren't familiar with reality tour, most of our students who participate in this program have gone to Greensburg. And it is a trademarked program. It's volunteer driven, and it is a substance abuse prevention program that is designed for parents and students to attend. So students and their parents must go together for the tour. It begins with registration, a pre-test, a youth digital photo, and a study about drug addiction profiles. Participants in the tour, they go through dramatic scenes that include a peer pressure skit, a drug arrest, prison experience, an experience in the emergency room, a funeral, and it's followed by a drug and alcohol prevention DVD viewing, signing of the reality tour banner, and a post-test. And each tour includes questions and answers, period with law enforcement and with the recovering addict, followed by closing remarks by our tour director. And there are materials that are distributed, and at the end, the students receive a picture from when they took it at the beginning of the program that is now morphed into looking what they would look like if they were drug addicted. Now, our local Rotary has purchased the rights to the reality tour. Our community is forming volunteer groups. They've already had 2 meetings. And it's in order to begin the program for this coming fall. Mr. Shivitz is helping me work with the high school clubs to enlist some student volunteers to participate in the reenactments. And we're looking for as many community volunteers as possible at this time. Do you want to add anything?
The program is very successful in Greensburg right now. They're
maxed out, aren't they?
Yes, they are maxed out. They do not have room for our children. Derry, Latrobe, Ligonier kids, there's no space. As Dr. Soltis said, we're in an epidemic. There's been 20 overdoses so far this year. That's the ones that have died. That's not counting the ones that have not died. We had 2 last week. I don't know if anybody saw them in the paper. A very young woman and a young gentleman. We're out of control. We need to do something to protect our children.
The Latrobe Municipal Building is the site for the reality tours. They have offered their council room for the beginning of the presentation, that we're going to be able to use the bays downstairs for the reenactments, as well as use the jails.
Yes, the jail.
So we have a great support from Latrobe Police Department, from the Latrobe Municipal Building. At this point, we're trying to secure items that we need, and also bodies, people to help. So if anyone's interested, 6 o'clock on the 19th, that's next Wednesday. And The tour has decided on a regular Wednesday. I think it's the second Wednesday.
We haven't made the
It's
decision.
between
It's
the
either second or third.
Third Wednesday of the month would be the regular tour, and it runs about 2.5 hours an evening.
Yes.
If you want to give up, and we're trying to get enough volunteers so that if you can't make it, there'll be someone that can take your place.
Right. Or maybe you don't have to come every month. Maybe you will come every other month. We don't know.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
I have heard excellent things about this from coworkers and friends who've gone to the Greensburg instead of taking their children and said how effective it has been.
Our students have attended, but it's been a while, as Marion said, that the program in Greensburg has been filled to the point where it's hard to get groups of students to attend. But again, students must be accompanied by an adult. They've asked for $5 registration. The belief is that $5, if you commit to $5, you're more likely to come, so that we're not missing that space that we could use for someone else.
Yes, they comment on what an impact it has on their kids, and I think that's the whole goal of the whole thing. And they're just heard fantastic things. I'm so happy to see this happening.
The data collection that's being done right now is suggesting that the students come with a certain level of knowledge, but they leave with an incredible level of knowledge as far as drugs. And as I think Dr. Tucker said the other day, the gateway drug anymore, we used to think it was maybe marijuana. It appears to be prescription drugs, and it's in everybody's home.
Thank you. Emma Kate?
I was just going to say that I went on this tour when I was younger, and it was a really beneficial thing. I think it's a really good program.
Great. I'm glad you remembered it all this time.
I did.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to see that happen.
I'm curious to see how they present and what they do. I mean, it almost sounds like a Scared Straight kind of thing. I've seen that TV program.
Yeah.
To some degree, but not.
It's an education program too, I'm sure, but I don't know how much, because when you look at this drug addiction problem, in my mind, we have people trying to fill their lives up with something. There's something missing in these people's lives, and they try to fill it. And they fill it with things that aren't good. Whether it's drugs, whether it's alcohol, whether it's bad people, whether it's whatever. Some people pick the wrong things to fill their life up with, and then they end up in big trouble. So I hope that is a focus too, because we need to redirect people. And having a good school and having programs that kids can become involved in certainly is part of that thing, filling up people's lives with things that are constructive and things that are good for them. We have 2 state wrestlers here tonight. Obviously, they're not using drugs or heroin and things because they couldn't do it. So their life is filled up with athletics. There's people out there that can't do that. So we have to help them find ways to make their life more productive. If they have family that can't support them, if they have friends that can't support them, if they have some hole in their life that can't be filled. I know we're not allowed to talk about religion anymore. Clearly, that's a part of it as well. So, we look at these people, they come in the emergency room, and I'm telling you, I see them every day. Every day, I work in that emergency room. Last week, I delivered a 2-pound baby in my emergency department. It was a heroin addict's baby, and she walked away. Didn't look at it, didn't have anything to do. This kid nearly died. We saved the baby's life too. For what? I don't know. I don't know if this kid's going to be okay or not. We don't know that. So it's not just impacting the people that are using the drug, it's impacting everybody. And when you see families that come into the emergency room and have lost somebody with drug abuse, and they say, oh, what a good person they were. And I say, well, how did this happen? How did it happen? I don't know. That's what we need to find out. That's a part of the puzzle, because it's not. I'm telling you, you'd be surprised sometimes when you see the people that are actually doing this. You would not believe it. I'm very concerned sometimes when I get in the car and drive, because I know how many people out there are drunk or on drugs or something. So it's a tough problem, we need to be proactive, and I'm glad our community is getting into this, and I look forward to the kind of things you can do and see what we can do to impact this terrible problem, which in Latrobe is a terrible problem. Terrible problem. There's a hotel down here, not a hotel, but an apartment building on Main Street that is notorious. Everybody comes out of it has needle tracks on that. And that's right downtown Latrobe, right across from the Mozart House. So,
I think also that to add to that, Mike, I think it's important that the entire community come together. And this is just part of it, whether it be through like what we did with the athletics, whether it be what Park and Rec does on a daily basis, whatever it is, we create that fulfillment and that space in that kid's life with anything positive. So anytime these programs need support, I think it's important that this entire community come together and support those programs and fill those holes.
Here, here. Thank you. That's the end of my report. And please excuse me, I thought I was in the hospital. I'll be able to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Move to less than 1 minute in the meeting. There was a summary of the minutes of the last IU meeting, which was held on February the 25th, and that is an attachment to we are asked to next week approve the WIU general operating budget. I think it's a good budget. I commend Allison Willis for the very hard job she has done in transforming that budget into something the school districts are very much happier with. And I see that the finance committee did approve it at their meeting. Do you have any comments?
No comments other than our contribution level has decreased slightly from last year. It went down by about $61.64. So they were able to hold the line, which I give them credit.
Much more transparent.
Yes.
So I totally recommend it, and the finance committee recommends it. So we will be voting on that next week. It will be on your agenda. You also have a ballot for you this evening. Every year, this is an ongoing election where they elect members to the board of directors, and you're asked to please fill out that a ballot and sign it. It needs to be given to Mrs. Leisure, and she needs to turn them in because she has to validate that it did come from you. So if you would do that this evening and give them to Mrs. Leisure, that would be very much appreciated. And that ends my report on the IU, and we'll go to the EWCTC Joint Operating Committee, Mrs. Kozar.
Yes, the summary of our most recent meeting, which was February 26th, this is an attachment.
Thank you, Mrs. Kozar. And Board Policy PSB Liaison, Mrs. Elder.
Yes, first we will have on the agenda next week final adoption of 2 board policies. The only change in those is the numbers, and that's because of changes in state law. And then we have a bunch of first readings to do, and they are also changes in state law, changes in wording. They're all very slight, but we should take a look at them and then be ready to vote on them for first reading next week.
Thank you, Mrs. Elder. Transportation, Mr. Music.
Thank you. Our next committee meeting will be on Wednesday, April 30th, at Senior High School Conference.
Thank you, Mr. Music. Technology, Mr. Palmer.
Thank you. We got our meeting tonight. The meeting needs to be within your next packet. And our next meeting date is April 8th here at CTC at 6.
Thank you, Mr. Palmer.
CS.
Yes.
Can't spell it.
He was career in technology stuff.
That's right.
I know exactly where you were going.
Superintendent's recommendations, Mrs. Swire.
Next week, I would ask the board to move on a recommendation to hire substitute teachers, including substitute nurse. Also, support personnel appointments, classified substitute secretaries, as well as the football assistant coach positions for the newly hired football coach that was hired actually in February. So I will ask the board to approve those. In addition, you should have received a statement of financial interest. It is due May 1st. As soon as you get those finished, please return those to Mrs. Glazier. Breakfast of Champions is Thursday, March 20th, as well as the student art exhibition is at SAMA in the Artists of the 21st Century. It's held in SAMA and Ligonier on April 17th or through April 17th. It's actually going on now. You might have gotten a postcard regarding that. As well as on March 23rd is the St. Vincent Choral Concert at 2 p.m. Our choir, our chamber orchestra, our chamber choir performs. It's a wonderful free concert. So if you're interested, it's at 2 p.m. March 23rd, Sunday at St. Vincent's Basilica. And Mrs. Eller, you can add anything if I didn't get it correct.
It's truly a marvelous experience because of the acoustics there. And it's a wonderful concert.
Thank you. Any other business to come before the board this evening? Seeing none, then we are adjourned. Thank you for your time. We'll see you next week.